I was the smartest kid in school. Why do I feel so lost now? Well, we've all been there. At one point or another, you were that kid who raised your hand to answer every question. You got good grades, you did well on standardized tests, and it seemed like everything came easily to you. And then you got older, and suddenly things changed. You might be wondering what happened to you and how you can get back on track. Well, here are some possible reasons why you, the smartest kid in school, might be feeling lost. Number 1. You always knew the answers, so you never learned. Let me explain what I mean by this. When you're in school, if you're the smartest kid in the class, chances are that you know the answers to most of the questions the teacher asks. And when that happens, you don't have to put much effort into learning the material because you already know it. But once you graduate and enter the real world, you'll quickly realize that no one cares whether or not you know the capital of France or whether or not EMC squared. Instead, what matters is whether or not you can solve real-world problems. And that's something that you won't learn by simply memorizing facts and figures. The real world is full of complexities and nuances that you'll need to take into account if you want to succeed. And if you're not careful, it's easy to fall behind. For example, let's say you're trying to figure out how much money you need to save for retirement. If you were the smartest kid in school, you might be tempted to just crunch the numbers and come up with a figure. But the reality is that there are a lot of variables to consider here, like inflation, taxes, and how long you expect to live. And if you don't take all of these factors into account, you could end up with a lot less money than you need. Number 2. You think you know it all. When you're the smartest kid in school, it's easy to get a big head. After all, you're surrounded by people who admire you for your intelligence. And when that happens, it's easy to start thinking that you know it all. But the truth is that no one knows everything about anything. There's always something more to learn, no matter how smart you are. And if you're not willing to keep learning, you're going to fall behind. In fact, one study found that people who think they know it all are actually less intelligent. According to the study, those who agree with the statement, "I don't need to listen to anyone," or "I can do things better than others," tended to score lower on intelligence tests. This is known as the Dunning-Kruger effect, which describes how people with low ability often overestimate their intelligence. On the other hand, those with high ability tend to underestimate it. It might be helpful to remember this next time you feel like you're not smart enough. Chances are you're actually smarter than you think. Number 3. You didn't learn how to study. While being smart is helpful, it's not everything. Being a good student also requires strong study skills. Unfortunately, many smart students don't put much effort into learning how to study because they don't need to. Their intelligence allows them to get good grades without having to put in a lot of work. However, once they enter college, they'll need to learn how to study effectively in order to keep up. Otherwise, they'll quickly fall behind their peers. A 2016 study found that while intelligence is important, it only accounts for about 20% of a student's overall success. The remaining 80% comes down to effective study habits. This means that even if you're a smart student, you still need to learn how to study effectively if you want to succeed. Fortunately, there are plenty of resources available to help you improve your study skills. With a little effort, you can learn how to study smarter, not harder. Number 4, you got used to getting things handed to you. Let me ask you a question. If you were the smartest kid in school, did you ever have to work hard for anything? Did you have to study for tests or exams? Or did you just breeze through school without putting in much effort? If you answered yes to the latter, then you've probably gotten used to getting things handed to you. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. After all, everyone likes to get things easily. However, the problem arises when you start expecting things to come easily to you. That's where things can go wrong. When you're not prepared for a situation, relying solely on your intelligence to get you out of trouble is not a good strategy. Your smarts won't always be there to bail you out. And if you're not prepared, you could end up in a bad situation. For example, let's say you're trying to fix a leaky faucet. You might think you can just use your intelligence to figure it out, but that's probably not going to work. you'll need to learn how to fix the faucet or call a professional. Trying to rely on your smarts alone could end up making the situation worse. So, it's important to remember that your intelligence is not always going to be there to bail you out. You need to be prepared and have a plan in place for when things go wrong. Number 5. You don't know how to apply your intelligence. This is a big one. Let me ask you a question. How many of the smartest kids you know actually go on to do something great with their lives? The truth is that not very many. Why? Because being smart isn't enough. You also need to know how to apply your intelligence. Many smart students struggle to find success after graduation because they don't know how to apply their intelligence to real-world problems. They're smart, sure, but they don't know how to use their smarts to make a difference in the world. It's not enough to just know a lot of facts. You need to be able to apply that knowledge to new situations. And that's something that many smart students struggle with. So how can you develop this ability? One way is to take classes or workshops on critical thinking and problem solving. By learning how to think critically and solve problems, you'll be better equipped to handle whatever challenges life throws your way. You'll also be better able to apply your intelligence to new situations. So don't limit yourself. Don't assume that just because you're smart, you'll automatically be successful. Take steps to develop your critical thinking and problem-solving skills and watch what you can achieve. Number 6. You stopped learning. When you stop learning, you stop growing. And when you stop growing, you start dying. That might sound dramatic, but it's true. Learning is essential to our growth as human beings. It helps us expand our minds, become more creative, and solve problems. When you stop learning, you lose all of these benefits. And that's why so many people who were the smartest kid in school end up feeling lost later in life. They stop learning new things and they end up falling behind. To avoid this fate, it's important to make a conscious effort to continue learning throughout your life. Luckily, we live in an age where learning is easier than ever before. There are countless online courses, tutorials, and other resources available to help you learn new things. All you need to do is take advantage of them. So don't let yourself stop learning. Keep your mind sharp and continue to grow. The world is constantly changing and evolving, and the only way to keep up is to keep learning. Number 7. Your intelligence made you arrogant. When you're the smartest kid in school, it can be easy to get a bit cocky. After all, you're surrounded by people who look up to you and admire your intelligence. But arrogance is a dangerous quality, and it can lead to big problems down the road. For example, let's say you're working on a team project and you're the one who's supposed to come up with the ideas. Well, if you're too arrogant, you might just come up with half-baked ideas that you think are brilliant, but really aren't. Your teammates will see right through you and they'll lose respect for you. As a result, the project will suffer and everyone will be disappointed. Another problem that arrogance can cause is isolation. When you're too arrogant, you tend to push people away, and that can leave you feeling lonely and cut off from the people who could help you succeed. For example, let's say you're trying to build a career in a field that's dominated by men. If you're too arrogant, you might alienate the people you need to succeed. As a result, you may find yourself struggling to advance in your career. And number 8. You forgot that IQ isn't everything. Intelligence is important, but it's not everything. There are many other qualities that are equally important, like creativity, emotional intelligence, and curiosity. When you forget this, you'll start to feel lost because you're relying on only one aspect of yourself to get you through life. That's not a good idea. You need to cultivate all aspects of yourself if you want to be successful. Luckily, it's not too late to start developing these qualities. With a little effort, you can become the well-rounded person you've always wanted to be. So don't worry about your IQ. Instead, focus on developing all aspects of yourself and watch what you can accomplish. Were you the smartest kid in school? Do you feel lost now? What are your thoughts about this video? Please share with us in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe and leave a like. Thanks for watching. Until next time.